Hello, my name is Rick Clark. I am the Director of Undergraduate Admission at Georgia Tech, and I want to thank you for taking a little bit of your time today to learn more about who Georgia Tech is, who we're not. We're going to walk you today through how we were founded and the mission of the institution. We're going to talk a little bit about the academic programs that we have available, and also many of the things students engage with outside the classroom as well. We're going to give you some insight into the city that surrounds us here in Atlanta and the world that our students engage with beyond. My hope is that you will use this time to reflect, that as our different team members are talking today, you will consider whether or not these things resonate with you. I know that you have a lot of great college options, and frankly, that's one of the best things about American higher education is that you have a lot of choices. And so we appreciate you taking some time. We're going to try to provide you with the best information and insight that we can. And we hope that you will use that and consider whether or not Georgia Tech might be a great college choice for you.
Usually the best place to start is at the beginning. Georgia Tech opened its doors in 1885 to 84 students. Our school's creation was a symbol of transformation. This was a time of great change and rebirth in the South. It was just after the Reconstruction period, a time to look forward, a time of shifting, growing, and figuring out what comes next. The first students at Georgia Tech wondered and worked to solve the problems of the day, to make the world around them more accessible. They asked why and how, and did not always succeed on the first try. Certainly, we can relate these questions to today. It's obvious that we don't have all of the answers, and there are still a lot of challenges left to tackle. At Georgia Tech, we have the brain power to find those answers and the willpower to get it done. We appeal to students who are curious, students who continue to ask why. Why isn't there a cure for cancer? Why are we seeing cybercrime at these different companies? Why can't we develop cost-effective renewable energy sources? They ask how. How can we make this better and more efficient? How can we help more citizens in our healthcare delivery? They ask, what if? What if I tackled this medical challenge? And what if I partner with that classmate to design a better product? It's over 135 years later, and we are still asking those same questions, still ensuring that our students don't get left behind in the new, modern world. We continue to position ourselves as a great source of talent, not only in the Southeast, but in the nation. If you're a person who's excited to solve problems and who works well with others and want to work with others so that you can leverage your strengths, if you want to surround yourself with people who are looking for solutions, if you like to imagine how you can make things better, if you like to take things apart and put them back together, if you want to change the world, you can do that at Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech's motto is progress and service. Our motto really revolves around the idea of bettering the human condition and improving the world around us, seeing a problem within our communities and figuring out how we can fix it. How can we solve that problem? There's no better example to progress and service than some of the projects that have been happening on campus as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Our faculty, staff, researchers, and students have all been working tirelessly to try and solve some of the different problems that we are now facing as a society. An example of that is creating low-cost, easy-to-produce ventilators, or various different forms of PPE, whether that be face shields or face masks.
I first met Connor Ford in the AV room at Mount Pisgah High School. He was helping his college admission counselor prepare for a junior parents' night. As a senior, Connor had not applied to Georgia Tech. He had applied to a few universities in the Northeast, but was contemplating a gap year. In our conversation, he told me he was a tinkerer. He loved to modify and create things. As he described these passions, he told me about his latest creation. During his time in high school, he found that there was a need for improved communication about upcoming events, so he took it upon himself to solve this problem by creating an app. Being a programmer since the age of 13, the Spirit app was created to make it easier for teachers to record student activities, but it also incentivized students to participate in these activities, connect with their peers, and display school spirit. Connor saw a problem, and he very quickly and creatively found a solution. After he graduated high school, a few high schools in the area expressed interest in using the app, and he decided to make a company of it. I was hooked on his story and his entrepreneurial spirit. I quickly changed our conversation to Georgia Tech, our strong business program in the ecosystem that is a leading hub for innovation and entrepreneurship. Connor applied to Tech. Fast forward a few years, as a student in the Schiller School of Business, the Spirit app caught the attention of the corporate world, and Connor worked to pivot the app from education to also include corporate engagement. According to Connor, the corporate market is primed for the app. Research shows that 3 out of 10 employees say that their employer has never recognized them in any given week. However, if companies can double that number, they will see a 24% improvement in the quality of employee work, a 27% reduction in absenteeism, and a 10% reduction in shrinkage. As Connor's time at Georgia Tech comes to an end and he's graduating, he really feels strongly that this app will help improve corporate and employee relations when management begins to implement the app for employee recognition and employees start using it for the workforce.
Laura Margaret Burbach studied public policy at Georgia Tech. She was heavily involved on campus as the chief of staff of SGA, which is our Student Government Association, an orientation leader, a student assistant to our executive leadership team, and participated in several student organizations. I think what's important for applicants and students to realize is that creating change, creating progress and service, doesn't have to wait until after you graduate. In Laura Margaret's case, she created a lasting legacy of change right here on campus. Laura Margaret and her peers in SGA worked to create change in Georgia Tech's academic calendar, extending the passing period between classes so that students with back-to-back courses would have more time to get from one to the next, adding reading days before finals, and a day off before Thanksgiving, among other changes. She and her team created real change that can still be seen on our academic calendar today. After graduating in 2016, Laura Margaret joined Teach for America, participated in the Urban Leaders Fellowship in Atlanta, and served as a research fellow for the National Council for Teacher Quality, a policy group in Washington, D.C. that works to ensure that every child has an effective teacher. Laura Margaret then served as an analyst for the Governor's Office of Student Achievement in Georgia, and is now in Chicago working on her graduate degree in computational analysis and public policy. The last students we'll talk about here are holding something pretty neat in their hands, and that is the trophy from winning the Inventure Prize. The Inventure Prize is an annual competition for undergraduate students to pitch their innovations that will create impactful change. Think Shark Tank, but for our students. This really is a full year or longer endeavor for the students. They might start the year prototyping in our makerspaces, which are the largest student-run makerspaces in the country. They might receive feedback from incredible faculty and mentors on campus, and there's multiple rounds of pitches until the final 6 teams present to a panel of judges on finals night. The final competition is not only in front of those judges, but is also in front of a live and televised audience. The first prize winner that night takes home $20,000 and a patent filing. Second prize is $10,000 and a patent filing. The People's Choice winner takes home $5,000. All right, so that brings us to this first prize winning team here, who won back in 2019. Ethos Medical is a team of mechanical and biomedical engineers who looked at the process for procedures that involve inserting a needle into the spine. Many of us may be familiar with that as an epidural, but you might also think about lumbar punctures, also called spinal taps. Current standard of practice is to insert the needle without visual guidance initially and to instead just feel for markers on the spine, guiding the needle into an opening in the spine as small as 1 millimeter between vertebrae. As you can imagine, this can be very difficult in some patients. In fact, 20% of lumbar punctures can't be successfully completed in this way, and the patient must be sent to radiology. This is very costly and very time-consuming. So, what did Ethos Medical create? They innovated a needle guidance solution that interfaces with portable ultrasound machines that hospitals typically already have available to them. The guide snaps onto the probe, and from there, the practitioner receives real-time guidance as they align and insert the needle into the spine. So this is what our students are doing. The team saw a massive problem in a massive industry, the medical industry, and tackled it head-on as undergraduate students. Another great example of this is the 2020 winner, Q's. Not like the letter, but Q's like the line. They developed an application in which at quick service or fast food restaurants, customers input their wait times into a tablet at the front of the line. This provides live wait time guidance on a mobile app for customers deciding where to eat, as well as wait time analytics for restaurant management so they can learn how to staff and run their restaurant more efficiently. Georgia Tech's food vendor saw the promise of this innovation and had partnered with the team for several months prior to finale night. So you can do this. You can create real change, and Georgia Tech will help provide the resources to do so.
That commitment to progress and service has to start with a strong foundation on campus and in the classroom. Taking a look at academics, Georgia Tech is a mid-sized public institution in the heart of campus, With about 400 acres, most students can get from one end of campus to the other in about 20 to 25 minutes. There are just over 16,000 undergrads who choose to enroll in one of our 36 majors spanned across our 6 different colleges. One thing that we find in our applicants is that they've done their homework when it comes to academic offerings. They understand our curriculum, and they look forward to expanding their intellectual curiosity. Our students understand that we are by no means all things to all people, and we don't intend to be. In thinking about what we offer at Georgia Tech, we consider what does the world need, and how does that intersect with our strengths as an institution. All of the majors are important to who we are as a collaborative community. Now moving across the screen here, you'll see that Georgia Tech has a 97% retention rate. You may hear the term retention rate pop up quite a bit in the upcoming months as you research colleges. So just to unpack what that means, a first-year retention rate is the percentage of students who came to campus for their first year and then chose to return to this school for their second year. This is an indicator that schools might often use as a measure of student success or student satisfaction. While no school has a 100% retention rate, the national average is around 67%. Therefore, our retention rate puts us within the top 25 schools in the country, only 6 of which, including Georgia Tech, are considered public institutions. So what exactly does this mean? It means that Georgia Tech is doing a great job of supporting our students, making it financially affordable for them to attend, connecting them with a broader network socially so that they are happy, supported, and they feel like they're advancing their prospects when they graduate. That brings us to this middle number here. 85% of classes have less than 50 students enrolled. An important question to ask while you're researching, applying, or even after you've been admitted to schools is what will your experience be like as a student in the classroom? How often does that vary from your first year to your fourth year, or from major to major? Student to faculty ratio is a fine number to ask. However, not necessarily the most telling about your actual experience. That might better be illustrated by the most common class size. At Georgia Tech, in our case, our typical class size is around 26 to 33 students. This gives students a great opportunity to have direct access to faculty who will help them ensure that they are getting all of the information that they needed to succeed within the classroom. With a special focus in particular in the academic areas, relatively small class sizes, and support to help students achieve, there's no wonder why our students choose to come back to Georgia Tech every year.
Now, of course, what is learned in the classroom is just as important as what is learned and applied outside of the classroom. The great thing about Georgia Tech is that it has positive relationships with so many businesses and organizations, which allows for our students to have countless professional opportunities. One option that students participate in is either an internship or co-op during their time here at Tech. Although these opportunities are completely optional, our students at Georgia Tech do tend to take advantage of one or the other. A co-op is somewhat like a long-term relationship with a company in which a student spends 3 semesters, 1 fall, 1 spring, and 1 summer, where they work as a full-time employee. Oftentimes, starting pay for co-ops can be between $18 to $20 an hour and can even lead to job offers before a student graduates. Some companies students choose to co-op with include Apple, Coca-Cola, Delta, General Motors, Lockheed Martin, Microsoft, and many others. Internships, on the other hand, only last for about 1 semester and allow students more flexibility when it comes to seeking various professional opportunities over the course of multiple semesters. Internships can be paid or unpaid, and they also can count for course credit. A great resource for students to utilize on campus when searching for internships or co-ops is our Center for Career Discovery and Development Office, also known as C2D2. This office will help you search for opportunities, tailor your resume, and conduct mock interviews with you as you prepare to apply for these various opportunities. Research is just another way in which students can expand their knowledge in their major and apply what they're learning in the real world. Because Georgia Tech is a research institution, all of our faculty members conduct research and enjoy having students as a part of their research team. We often recommend students, if you're interested in research and getting involved, to talk to your professor and let them know why you're interested in what they're researching, as well as want to see if you can join their team. Our Office of Academic Enrichment also has a long list of undergraduate research opportunities outside of their office that students have access to viewing. An additional opportunity Georgia Tech students take advantage of is international experiences, as they are a great way for students to get outside of the classroom and apply what they've learned in an international, cross-cultural experience. One thing that is a myth is that students at Tech don't have time to study abroad, but in reality, over 50% of our Tech students are studying abroad and participating in an international experience each year. International experiences can mean interning or co-oping in another country, or it could be participating in a study abroad program to earn credit for college courses. There are 2 different types of programs students can partake in. The first is faculty-led programs where students travel with a Georgia Tech professor to an institution in another country, take classes there, and go on excursions, all while learning about their major in an international context. The second is an exchange program in which a student applies for admission to an institution abroad, travels there on their own, and takes classes. Exchanges often allow students to have more flexibility when it comes to the places they want to travel during their program.
Georgia Tech is located in Midtown Atlanta, and one of the benefits of being founded in the late 1800s is that we were able to establish our campus and then watch Atlanta grow up around us over the course of the last 130 years. I want to take a moment to describe how our campus is set up, especially if you haven't had the opportunity to see it in person yet. We are a very traditional 400-acre campus in the heart of the city, and this is contiguous acreage, and everything that you might need as a student is located in this one spot within the city. All of our housing, classrooms, research facilities, even our Greek housing and athletic stadiums, they're all located in this one space in Atlanta. And as you're going about your daily routine, it's actually really easy to forget that you're in the city until you look up and you see the skyscrapers just off campus around you. Our student experience is greatly enhanced by our location in Atlanta. And certainly Atlanta's standing as one of the top cities in the nation for Fortune 500 company headquarters and presence is an asset for students looking to intern, to co-op, or to stay in Atlanta after graduation. These companies are in our backyard, and they know the quality of education that Georgia Tech provides, the caliber of student on our campus, and they're actively looking for ways to connect with our population. You can certainly see this through the innovation centers that have opened up on our campus. These are spaces and studios where corporate partners invite students, faculty, researchers, and startups to work together and instigate breakthroughs and explore new technologies. Some of our partners include Boeing, Chick-fil-A, Delta, the Home Depot, NCR, and Panasonic. We love that our close proximity to these companies has allowed for these creative spaces and collaborations. And while we certainly respect our business community, Atlanta also benefits our students as a really fun place to spend your undergraduate career. Within a 20-minute walking radius of campus, you're going to find yourself at countless museums, professional athletic stadiums, parks, theaters, music venues. We're a short MARTA ride, which is Atlanta's rapid rail system, from Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, the busiest airport in the world. There always seems to be something happening around us, some type of show, festival, event, game, or concert, and it's really easy for our students to step out and engage with our city in this way. But at the end of the day, when you're back on campus, it feels distinctly different. You lose that hustle and bustle feel of a major city, and we really love that about our community and the footprint that we have within the larger context of Atlanta.
We're going to shift gears now. We've reached the halfway point in the presentation, so we're going to move our focus from specifics about Georgia Tech, our ethos and information about Atlanta, and now we're going to move to really focus on the application timeline and how we review applications. So we're going to talk about what it means to apply to an institution that's selective and uses a holistic review process. When schools talk about being selective, what they mean is that they have more applicants, more qualified applicants applying to their school than they actually have room for in their freshman class. So many selective colleges, and Georgia Tech included, will use a holistic review process when reviewing applications. That means that multiple people, not a computer, will review your application, and we will look at lots of different types of information before a decision is made. And we're going to discuss all those different factors that are considered. And you see them listed on your screen, and we're going to go through each factor one by one. The first factor we're going to review is your academic preparation, and we always think about this within the context of your high school. We want to learn what was offered at your high school, what did you decide to take, and what did you make in those classes. We want to understand the offerings at your school, and we know that high schools are so different from one another. Your high school may offer AP classes, IB classes, you may be in a magnet program or participating in dual enrollment. You could even be in a Cambridge system or on the national curriculum. We will review your high school's profile, which is a document that your high school counselor will send to us, and we'll spend a lot of time reviewing your transcript, seeing those choices that you made, looking at grade trends, and really putting together a picture of your high school career in context of what was available to you. It's important to us that a student's not afraid of being challenged. Georgia Tech's a really challenging place, and we want to see a foundation in high school that shows that a student can navigate that. At Georgia Tech, we require either an ACT or SAT standardized test score. Some important notes or takeaways here. Georgia Tech super scores. So that means that if you take a test more than once, we'll only use the highest individual sections in our review. So that's certainly to your benefit. Also, we accept self-reported scores during the application process. You can report scores on the Common Application or directly to Georgia Tech on your student portal once you've submitted your application. So please don't use a free score report on Georgia Tech. Use that free score report for another institution and then self-report your scores to us. If a student is accepted and eventually decides to enroll at Georgia Tech, we'll ask for an official test score for our records. So we also get frequently asked questions about additional standardized testing, such as AP exams or maybe an SAT-2 subject test. Georgia Tech does not require AP exams or SAT-2 subject tests. If you have those scores and you wish to report them, we welcome them, but students are not negatively affected if they do not. So let's talk for a few minutes about contribution to community and personal essays. We're going to ask you to submit your activities and to respond to some different writing prompts. When we talk about activities at Georgia Tech, we want to expand your idea of what that means. So we refer to activities as contribution to community. As you can probably tell from our focus on progress and service, we're really looking for students who can articulate their involvement and their impact. And you have impact on the people around you through clubs, through organizations, through community efforts, part-time work, even supporting your family. All those commitments are important to us, and we want to hear about how you spend your time and why. So when you tackle this section of the application, I want you to consider that even though you're not speaking to us in person, you are speaking to us through paper. Think about what you would talk about if you could have a cup of coffee with me. Make sure that you mention all of those topics on your application as well. So think beyond what activities you participate in and think about why you participate in certain activities. Each one of you is unique and you have made choices that will paint this distinct and individual picture of your high school career. So the takeaway here is that when you are completing the application and you're tackling the activity section and the writing portions, we're hoping to learn more about what's important to you and why. We will accept a total of 2 recommendation letters, one from a high school counselor and one from an academic teacher. These are completely optional. You're not required to submit them in the review process, but if you do submit a letter of recommendation, we encourage you to find a teacher who's been able to see you in the classroom, who can write about how you interact with others and how you engage with subjects. The lens that they provide of you in a classroom setting, that's extremely valuable to us. If you are a non-native English speaker, you do have the opportunity of submitting a recorded interview. This is conducted through outside companies, and we have more information about that on our website under the first year section. So you can go look that up. So if English is not your first language, feel free to check out that option. It's not required, again, but it is a good opportunity to tell us more of your story while evidencing your English proficiency. Lastly, the admission committee also considers how an applicant will contribute to our campus and student body. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about institutional fit. So the beginning of this session really spoke to the importance of mission and the motto of Georgia Tech. And we really have a community of students and faculty who want to positively drive change. And we want to find students who we feel will contribute to that overall mission. The beauty of a holistic review process is that as a student, you'll benefit from peers who have a wide variety of experiences. And when we put all those thought leaders together, you really learn from each other, both inside and outside the classroom. So let's talk for a second about deadlines. So students who want to be considered for merit-based aid should apply in our early action round. Now, our early action round deadlines depend on your Georgia status. So if you are a graduating senior from a Georgia high school, or if you're a Georgia resident, even if you're attending a school outside of Georgia, the early action deadline for you is October 15th. Now, if you are a non-Georgia resident attending a school outside of Georgia, then the early action deadline for you is November the 2nd. Our regular decision deadline, it's open to all students, and that's January the 4th. We do not have binding decisions at Georgia Tech, so all admitted students will have until May 1 to tell us their plans. A good tip is always to check a college website just to verify deadlines. If a student applies to Georgia Tech on October the 15th, they're going to receive a decision in mid-December. So our students who are applying by November 2nd will receive their decision in late January. So early action applicants can receive one of 3 decisions. They can be admitted, they can be deferred, so we'll read their application again in regular decision, or they could be denied. Now, a student who applies January 4th will receive a decision in mid-March, and they'll also receive one of 3 decisions. They can be admitted, they could be waitlisted, or they could be denied. So please note that while we do want to receive your application by one of those deadline dates, students will have a few weeks after the deadline to submit additional documents like transcripts, recommendation letters, test scores, that sort of thing. It's also important to note that at Georgia Tech, we have the same holistic process and academic standards for both rounds.
Just like we are considering many factors in the application review process, we know that you're also considering many factors in the college decision-making process. And one of those really important elements is cost. We're going to take a little bit of time now to talk about the investment that you and your support network are considering making in your college experience. We're going to talk about some of the realities and options at Georgia Tech, and we're also going to talk a little bit about what we anticipate that return on your investment may be once you graduate from Georgia Tech. One of the first things that you'll probably notice here is that there is a difference in tuition cost for students who are Georgia residents and those who are coming from outside of the state of Georgia. This is a function of the fact that Georgia Tech is a public institution and does have a mission to serve the state of Georgia. Of course, both Georgia residents and non-Georgia residents who are U.S. citizens and permanent residents do have the opportunity to apply for financial aid, both from Georgia Tech as well as federal financial aid. Throughout the application process, we will certainly provide you with more information about exactly how you apply for financial aid and provide you with the necessary documents to do that. That would include things like completing the CSS profile as well as a FAFSA form. And at all colleges that you're considering, you should begin thinking about applying for financial aid alongside thinking about applying to that institution. Oftentimes those dates and deadlines are going to overlap, so make sure you're considering this early. The reality is that fewer than 5% of our incoming first-year students receive scholarship from Georgia Tech. Scholarships that do exist at Georgia Tech, like the Stamps President Scholarship Program, are something that you're automatically considered for, provided that you're applying through the early action application deadline. So certainly consider that when you're making the choice of which deadline to choose. As I mentioned though, Georgia Tech scholarships are not commonplace. Instead, we find that many students who are competitive for admission to Georgia Tech are also competitive for outside scholarships. Many of our students are actually finding, applying for, and receiving scholarship from external organizations that they can then bring into Georgia Tech with them. We definitely do accept and honor those. Probably the most common approach to helping to fund your Georgia Tech education is going to come from these creative ways to pay listed here on your screen. Some of these include opportunities that you have already heard about, like co-ops or internships. Co-ops and internships are especially valuable because not only are you gaining insight and experience and developing a network in the field that you may want to pursue as a career after graduation, but you're also not paying tuition to Georgia Tech any semester that you're participating in a co-op or internship. Rather, you'd be working a full-time schedule and being compensated financially for the work that you're doing. Ultimately, if you choose to, that means that you could take the money that you have earned over your co-op or internship semester and apply that to your next semester back on campus in coursework. Similarly, in terms of gaining really rich and valuable experience, research can be done for academic credit, as you've already heard, but it can also be done for pay here on campus. And then, of course, students do have the opportunity to pursue part-time jobs here on campus. While none of these options are likely to cover your full cost of attendance, they are great ways to help supplement the cost of your Georgia Tech education. Finally, we are confident that you will see significant returns on your investment in your Georgia Tech education. Through your academic experiences, as well as your applied experiences during your time at Georgia Tech, we know that our students are incredibly employable. 87% of our students graduate with one or multiple job offers in hand. Not only are Georgia Tech students incredibly employable, Georgia Tech graduates are incredibly valuable. The average starting salary for a Georgia Tech graduate is close to double the national average among all university graduates in the US. We see over and over again that our students who are choosing to invest in Georgia Tech, both with their time and energy and, of course, financial resources, are ultimately seeing dividends on that investment.
Next, we want to briefly talk about the different opportunities we have for virtual visits. I know this is a challenging time not being able to visit campuses that you're interested in. So in order to bring campus to you and provide you a feel of Georgia Tech's culture, we have pre-recorded and live sessions through our virtual visits website. You may have utilized this website to find this webinar, but I encourage you to really dive in and explore this page. We have a lot of different resources to discover, such as an aerial flyover of campus, which is a great way to give you a feel and look of campus. Maybe you have some questions about specific departments and majors. Well, we have a lot of pre-recorded videos from various departments across campus, such as the College of Sciences or College of Computing or more. Maybe you want to learn a bit about the requirements to apply for financial aid. Financial aid created a video to help you learn more. Or maybe you want to hear about what you can get involved in on campus. Well, there are a lot of pre-recorded sessions from areas such as fraternity and sorority life, Center for Student Engagement, housing and residence life, and so many more. We have also provided live webinars for multiple departments, such as a Living Learning Communities, First Year Experience Program, and we also have live student panels so you can hear from students themselves. So make sure to take a look around and explore this website.
Thank you again for taking some of your time today to learn more about Georgia Tech. We greatly appreciate it. We know you're busy, and we hope that this has given you a broad sense of who we are as an institution and also whether or not it may be a good fit for you. We would love to continue the conversation. So if you would like to reach out at any point, we would be happy to answer any questions that you might have, connect you with students or other resources on campus. And of course, ultimately, we hope you'll have the opportunity to come and see our campus as well as the city of Atlanta for yourself. Again, I want to wish you all the best in your college admission experience. I know that you have a lot of great options, a lot of great choices, and we are very thankful that one of those is Georgia Tech. Have a great day and go Jackets.